Now let me ask you a question about that. Obviously education plays a role. What is the role of education? And should government play a role in financing education if that's the key to our continuing to adapt and move up the ladder?
Education plays a very big role, and it's one of the areas in which we're most deficient. And we're deficient for a very simple reason. We have a socialist educational system, our elementary and secondary system. 87%, 85 to 90% of the kids, government schools. And the reason for that is obvious. Government says to children, we'll give you schooling for free. If you want to go into the business of providing schooling, setting up a school, you've got to sell something that somebody down the street is giving away free. And that's not an easy thing to do. Now, that would be okay if those schools were providing real good education, but those schools are not. Literacy today in the United States is probably lower than it was years ago, and functional literacy even lower. A third of our children never graduate from high school.
It's an amazing statistic.
It's a terrible statistic.
Right.
And the other 2/3 aren't very well educated in many cases. And that's because, as I say, you have a government system, and government, we know government produces anything very badly, very badly. Now, there is an argument, education is enormously important. There is a case for government concern with education. But there is no case for government producing education. There is a case for government financing education. I say there's a case. That doesn't mean I think it's a decisive case. In my ideal world, government would not finance education. Parents would finance the schooling of their own children at their own expense, the same way they finance their food and their clothing and their housing. And government's role, if any, would be only to step in case of indigent children whose parents could not afford to send them to school. But the way the situation is now, government does two things. It does really three things. One, it has compulsory education, compels children to go to school. Number two, it finances the school. And number three, it does so by producing schooling. Now, if the government is going to finance something, it can either finance the producer of that thing, or it can finance the consumer of that thing. It has food stamps. It could finance the food stamps by having grocery stores and requiring food stamp people to get their foods in the government grocery store.
Which it does not do.
That would not be a very good grocery store. Instead, it now gives them stamps and lets them spend it, and they compete for the better food product. In the same way, the right way for government to finance education would be to finance the students, not the schools, to give each parent a voucher which could be used for full tuition in government schools, and for a definite sum of money, I would say about half of what the government now spends per school child in the private market.
So they would be free to choose.
They would be free to choose
where they would be educated.
And you would have a new industry develop, and you would have the ingenuity and productivity of the private market at work in the educational sphere. I don't know what would happen in that. There's no reason why should it be sensible for children to get all of their schooling in one brick building. Maybe a better way to do it is partly over the internet, maybe one piece here, one piece there, I don't know. But give the market a chance, and the market would produce something different than what we now have, and it's better than what we now have.